A very good morning, children. So, today I am going to start a new poem from your first flight book, that is poem 3, A Tiger in the Zoo, composed by Leslie Norris. So, before commencing the poem, I would like to tell you that I will be explaining you this poem stanza wise, and I will be discussing the difficult word meanings in between. And at the end of the poem, I will be dealing with the poetic devices and the rhyming scheme that is being used in this poem. Okay, so be with me and try to understand it thoroughly. So, a tiger in the zoo. So, I will be reading the stanzas and explaining to you. Here, let's see what's given over here. What's the introductory part here? This poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. Okay, there is a comparison. Comparison between what? Between the life of the tiger in its wild state, that is the natural habitat. Obviously, that is the forest or the jungle where they used to live, their natural habitat, and between a cage in which it is captivated. Okay, so the poem, it moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo. So you have to read the poem silently once, and you have to say which stanzas speak about the tiger in the zoo and which ones speak about the tiger in the jungle. That's quite easy for you. You can do it by your own. First stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quite in his quiet rage. So here, let's first deal with the difficult words. First word is stalks. Stalks means to walk slowly. Okay. Next word you will find is vivid. Vivid is clear, very clear. Stripes, you know, the lines. Okay. And pads. Pads here refers to the feet of the tiger. Okay, feet. That is the soft feet. Velvet is a soft cloth. And rage. Rage means anger. Okay, so what the poet Leslie Norris wants to say here, he says that the tiger, okay, in the zoo walks in the limited space provided to it in the cage. Stalks means, I told you, to walk very slowly but with pride. Okay, so here the poet wants to say that the tiger walks in a limited space which is provided to it in the cage, and it takes only the few steps. You know how much space is there in the cage, so it takes only few steps, and there are very clear stripes on its body, okay, which are noticeable, which could be seen clearly. On whose body? On the tiger's body. He here is referred to whom? The tiger. Okay, so here there are stripes on the tiger's body which are quite prominent, which could be easily seen, very clear, and its paws, okay, are soft like velvet. No noise is produced when it walks on its pads. Pads means on its feet. Okay, so now it's very quietly he walks on its pads, and because it is like velvet, and the tiger is silent inside the cage, but it is in rage, it is in anger. Okay, because he can't do anything inside the cage. So the despair and helplessness here gets reflected through these lines of a tiger. It could be seen on his face. Okay, coming to the next stanza. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. So the difficult words here are lurking. Lurking means hiding. Okay, to stay hidden. and sliding, to move, okay, moving with ease, very easily. Hole here is referred to a river where animals come to drink. Water hole here is the place, or you can say a river where animals come to drink water. Plump means fat, okay, fleshy one. And plump deer here is fleshy deer, very fat deer, okay. And you know very well that the tiger's favorite prey is deer. So what the poet explains us next? Here the poet pities. He takes pity. He sympathizes with the tiger. That in what way? And even he suggests that the cage is actually not the proper place for the tiger. Okay. It is not its natural habitat. The tiger in the cage is a victim of human cruelty actually. And what actually happens? Usually the tigers are found sitting under some bushes or the long grass near the stream means the river or any water hole. And as soon as they see their prey, like the deer coming there near the water hole to drink water, they slide silently, they move very silently through the grass and kill them. So here the poet wants to convey us that the tiger should be actually there in the forest, which is its natural habitat, okay. And the poet implies that his freedom has been snatched from him actually. And what he should have been doing? He should have been just moving, okay. Where he should be moving? Near in a natural habitat in the jungle, hunting and resting freely outside, and should not be kept inside the cage. Now coming to the next stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. So let's discuss the difficult words. Snarling means showing the teeth. In what way? You can also say growling, okay, by showing the teeth. Edge here is the margin. Baring means just showing, okay. Baring is also showing. White fangs, that is white teeth. Fangs here is used for teeth. Claws, the claws here is referred to nails, okay. Terrorizing means frightening or causing fear, okay. Now coming to the explanation part. What is said here? That the poet proceeds further, giving the suggestion that the tiger, okay, should be sitting at the jungle's edge, okay, in the close vicinity of a village, and it should be terrorizing, it should be causing the fear among the people passing that way. In what way it will create terror among the people? By showing its sharp teeth, okay, and baring its claws. Baring means showing its claws, its nails and its teeth, and producing the sound of anger. In that way he should be behaving, okay. Means here the poet imagines that what the tiger should be doing if he escaped hunting the wild game. So what he should be doing? He must be growling near villages by showing his white teeth and nails and creating terror among the villagers, okay. So the poet here implies that if we destroy the natural habitat of wild animals, obviously they would be invading our cities and villages, and they have started doing so in the news. And many times you might have heard, children, that the tiger entered the village area and creating the terror over there. So this is only what is being the reason behind it. Okay, so that's only being implied by the poet. Coming to the next stanza. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. So, here, what are the difficult words? Concrete means cemented, okay, and then cemented, made of cement and stone, etc. That is concrete. Walls, you might have heard, that is only. Cell here is referred to the cage, okay. Cell is the cage, and bars, behind bars means behind the cage only. Bars here is also referred to the cage. Stalking means already told to you, walking slowly. Ignoring is to neglect, not caring anyone, okay. So what the poet further explains here, that he is locked in a concrete wall. In this stanza, the poet expresses deep sympathy at the plight of the tiger. Plight means that unpleasant situation which the tiger is facing inside the cage, okay. That is imprisoned in a cell which is made of concrete, that is cemented one, okay. And he cannot come out of it because the strong bars are fixed at the concrete cell to stop him to come out. And thus the poet says that the tiger's strength is actually locked behind the bars, okay. His strength is locked, he couldn't come out, he couldn't do anything, and the tiger shows no interest in looking at the visitors. You might have also gone to the zoo many times to see all the animals and enjoy their children, isn't it? But here you see the tiger, here he shows no interest in looking at the visitors, okay. Rather, what he does, he keeps on stalking. Stalking means to walk in very angry and proud manner, though he walks very proudly, okay, as he is the most powerful animal there, who is just imprisoned behind the cage. So he is full of anger, still he walks very proudly inside that limited space in the cage, okay. So here the tiger is very angry and disappointed because he can't do anything, so he ignores the visitors, okay. And the poet implies the callousness, isn't it, towards his pathetic plight. Now coming to the last stanza of the poem, he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So in this last stanza, okay, the difficult words, patrolling cars, you know very well, nowadays you can see the patrolling cars moving on the roads, okay, that is the police cars, and vigil they are. And staring means to look here very intently, continuously, okay. And brilliant, you know children, you all are very brilliant, the shining one or the bright students, brilliant students, okay. So what the poet, again he takes the reader, the reader, to the cage where the tiger is sitting in the cage and feeling very unpleasant and restless. He only hears the sound created by the patrolling cars of the zoo authorities. You might be thinking how the patrolling cars would come inside there. So it is of the zoo authorities. You might have seen the zoo people also, they do the patrolling to see the well-being of these animals, okay. So still he shows no interest in them, okay. The poet even shown him staring at the shining stars with his brilliant eyes, okay. So what is that? That the tiger, he has here lost all his hopes of getting into his natural habitat. That's why he just looks continuously at the shining stars, and praying to the god for freedom, because he's captivated inside the cage, and he seems to be searching for some hope. Okay, and his eyes are here shining. Shining means for what purpose? It means that he hopes for freedom someday. He feels that one or the other day he will get the freedom out of this cage in which he is imprisoned, and that's why here it is said that his eyes are brilliant. Brilliant means shining, means having the hope for freedom. Okay, so here the poet raises a moral issue. He intends to present a strong case against the cruelty on animals which are kept in cages. So here we come to the end of the poem, children. Hope so you understood it, and just try to recall it once again to understand it thoroughly. Now let us first come to know about the rhyming scheme being used in the poem. Already I have explained you how to get the rhyming scheme in the previous poems which were being explained to you. So here just only I want to tell that rhyming scheme of all the stanzas is A, B, C, B. Okay, whereas here we can say that almost in 1, 2, 3 and 5 para it is perfect stanzas, but in stanza 4 it is little bit imperfect. Okay, but still we can say the rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B. Coming to the poetic devices, we can find two poetic devices used here often. First is alliteration. Alliteration already explained, still I will say it is the repetition of the initial consonant sounds in the same line. So here in the first line you can see he stalks in his vivid stripes. Okay, CSS, stalks, stripes. Okay, so it is alliteration. And then another one you can see his strength behind bars. Okay, his strength behind bars. Here behind bars, that is also alliteration. Likewise you can find more lines in which you can find the poetic device used is alliteration. Another one used is repetition. Repetition of words, either the words or the phrases in the same line. Okay, so where we found that? Here you can see the repetition of the words velvet quite, and in next line quite rage. Okay, these are the repetition of the words, so we can see the poetic device used here is repetition. Okay, hope so you understood it thoroughly. And now what is the message being conveyed at the end, children, or we can say the central theme of this poem? Actually Leslie Norris, he raises the issue for what? That the zoo it should be closed because the poor dumb animals are kept behind the bars without any fault of theirs. Okay, while it is best for them to just enjoy the green wild surroundings, but the selfish humans, they forcefully deprive them of their right to freedom. Okay, their freedom is snatched away and they are captivated inside the cages and all. So this is just a cruelty against the animals which should be stopped. I hope so you also are in favor of this. So think about the matter and try to understand the freedom, the priority of freedom even for the animals. So let's stop here and we will continue the new chapter in the next class. Till then, goodbye and have a nice day, children.